agenda, I just wanted to point out there was a typo on, for the new business, for the ordinance, the wrong year was referenced. So just to make sure we notate that, it currently says 2021 to 2022, it should be 2022 to 2023 for the vote. Okay. So regarding consent agenda, is there, if there's no objections, the consent agenda can be adopted, including the June 22nd minutes, the June financials, and the invoice and payroll warrants.
I just have a question about the minutes.
Yeah.
That we were discussing with the employee salaries,
Yes.
and it says it was tabled. And the things I was reading in those trainings, there was no motion and no second, so it should be no vote. The motion that we voted for was 3% was no. So how do we table something without a vote?
I thought we were voting not to vote at all on that, and we were gonna
No, we went around and voted 3% no, and then nobody ever made a motion or a second to table it. So I don't know how it can get tabled.
Yeah, at the meeting, the board just said they wanted to table it until September.
Yeah, we were, I mean, we can, I don't know how we
But
do
when we
it.
table it, we need to take a vote, right?
No, because we didn't vote on,
We voted
If I
on
say I want to
3%.
table something, and then I would say I want to table something, somebody has to second it, then we have to do the roll call, right, Marge?
I mean, that's from watching the training videos, that was my understanding, that's what I'm saying. We did the 3%, we went around and everyone voted no, which I don't see in the minutes anywhere about the 3% saying no to it. And then here it only says table until September, but we didn't have a motion to table it or a second to motion it, or a roll call to motion to table it.
Well, it's funny, we've been,
Okay.
because everybody seemed to be something that we had to chew on for a while, so yes, we finally moved as far as parliamentary procedure is concerned.
okay, so you're saying make a note that the 3% was shut down, you know that, and then.
Well, so what we'll do is we'll take the minutes, the approval of the minutes out of the consent agenda,
Okay,
and then that can be voted on separately.
okay,
And then, unless there's any objections to anything else in the consent agenda, that can then be its own standalone consent agenda.
Well, we already voted no with the people that were here, we're not taking a revote on it.
No. We're talking about, normally you vote to approve the minutes. And it sounds like since there's an issue with the minutes, we wouldn't want to vote on approving the minutes as part of the consent agenda. So we can vote on,
With that being altered back to 3% no, and that's how we vote.
we would probably have to vote no on approving the minutes. And then you guys, if you chose, could vote yes on everything else as part of the consent agenda. And then we would have to revisit and get the minutes amended. And then I believe they would just be voted on at a future meeting date. Or unless we just say it's amended, voting on it as amended. But what I was talking about just now was just that normally we combine everything into a consent agenda to do a single vote on it. But since there's an issue with the minutes, we'll take those minutes out of the consent agenda, vote on those separately to approve or not approve them, and then anything else can be then handled by the consent agenda.
just so that they're updated,
Right,
and then we can approve it once we see the updated minutes showing
Right.
that we voted no.
right.
Okay,
And while you're updating, I want to ask you something else.
yeah,
No action was taken to public facial covering policy in the assessment.
I'm sorry?
That no action was taken for the public facial covering policy.
That's correct.
But how we ask you to remove that mandatory.
Okay, nothing was altered in the policy itself. You guys chose to leave the policy as it was, and you gave me guidance on how to interpret the
Yes.
policy. So the policy itself.
We have to write the guidance as well in their minutes or not?
Well, the policy, it was the reassessment of the policy itself,
Okay.
and there was nothing changed about the policy.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's why I emailed you a couple days ago, that it's still on the website stating it's mandatory to wear a
Okay.
mask, stay 6 feet apart. That should be taken out. Nobody should click on, what's the mask policy, and you click on it, and now it says it's mandatory 6 feet apart. So that's why we had a 45-minute discussion on this, if you recall. But now it's back on the website stating it's mandatory. If somebody clicks on the policy, it says it's mandatory to come in this library with a mask on.
And it says in the very last paragraph, but this will only be enforced based on CDC guidance.
It doesn't matter, most people don't
Okay,
read
well,
the
but-
sheet
but
this
it-
long
I-
when they click on the library. I think the mandatory is gotta go. You know, we were talking about having emergency meetings based on if we had to. We spent a lot of time on whether the CDC was gonna make it mandatory, that we would have to do a phone tree or a special 48-hour meeting or something else like that.
Yeah. Well, I know the website, you just recently updated the website, so it says not currently being enforced,
Yes.
correct?
As I mentioned in my email to Deborah, I did take it off the common policies area of the webpage.
Okay.
And on the alphabetical listing of the policies, I added not currently enforced per CDC, IDPH, and CCDPH.
And it's before you click the link, it's right next to the
It's
link.
right next to the link.
right next to the
But
link.
again, the policy itself, the board did not change the policy. So the policy itself is still a valid policy. It is still displayed on our webpage. So I don't,
But I think it's being misinterpreted. It's being misinterpreted by me, by her, by everyone here, that we had to have a
Okay,
45-minute conversation on it. It's being I don't know why we don't want people to come to the library. I don't understand why we're discouraging it. If that's the first paragraph that you read, and you don't have time, oh, let me go pop in the library. You have 3 kids. You want to go on your computer, pop in, see, oh, all of a sudden there's this highlighted face mask policy. You click on it, you read the very first paragraph that says, it is mandatory to wear a mask and social distance 6 feet apart. You're going to say, oh, I'm not going there. You're not going to read, nobody has time to read all the way down.
Okay, so for the,
So I don't know what
this
we
one-
have to do about
I
it.
would just say this is not on the agenda for this
right,
evening.
this is being added already to the next meeting. Currently, the current fix right now is he added next to the link currently not being enforced. But then for the next meeting, make sure it is added,
So it's going to be on the August agenda to revisit it again.
just to reword it.
Okay.
Because the policy, we still want it in place in case something else happens, we are able to enforce it because it is a policy. It's not currently being enforced because the
But I thought we
CDC.
said the last time to reword it. That was the deal.
No, we had agreed that it was gonna stay as is and it's only being enforced if CDC, you
Leave the
can't
policy,
have.
but we said to reword the stuff on all the signage, all on the website, everywhere else.
Yeah,
Signage here in the library, yes.
signage has
but
been
mandatory is
updated,
not.
the website's been updated.
But the website was only updated 2 days ago.
The web-
When you emailed me. Yeah, yes, I have the emails. I can show you.
I think it's just an interpretation issue, yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
What does the signage on the door say? Face
Masks are
only?
encouraged.
What, just says encouraged, not mandatory?
Right now it does. Right now, since the last meeting, since we had to convince Layton that it was not mandatory, because the CDC said it wasn't. Every time the Cook County goes in one person into the red, Layton wants to close the library with the masks and everyone social distance and everyone do this. If you're afraid of the COVID, I understand that. You can wear an N95 mask, so you can wear 2 of them.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean he has to wear one or I have to wear one.
Sure.
A judge overturned this. It is not mandatory.
No, I
You
can
cannot
see it. I
force
can see it.
someone to wear a mask.
Yes,
You
yes.
can't do it. Unless you're in
No,
a
I know.
hospital or a health
No, I
care
appreciate
center.
it.
The door
We're
says-
in the
The
meeting.
door says now strongly encourages or
Recommended.
encourages.
What does it say?
Recommended? Door says recommended, right?
Encouraged.
Encouraged.
Encouraged, okay.
So that's the wording that we wanted. And again, the policy I thought was staying the same, but not being advertised. The policy is there. We don't every policy we have, every bylaw we have, every rule we have in this library is not on the website. So why does
Yes,
that
it
one
is.
have to be?
All the policies are on the
Every single one
website.
is?
All the
Okay.
policies, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna check that
All-
out, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so this one is just going into the next meeting to reword it. If you have any wording suggestions, my suggestion would just be that last sentence, put it on the top instead of at the bottom, where it says, in a way, the following is in place, per, it's that last sentence, whatever it's recommended by CDC. This is the policy, but only if and when CDC said so. If anyone has a better wording, by all means, send it to Layton, and we can always have Tiffany double check it or review it. But for now, this is not on the agenda, it'll be for next month, but currently, we did update the website, and it's on there not currently being enforced. Any other
That's for
questions?
August?
Yeah,
Because I noticed too on the agenda, you emailed me, you were gonna put that on there, we were gonna put on the agenda about the last meeting, that we had Leighton or Joanne, neither one of them discussed that how they were both gonna be on vacation, both be out of the building. We weren't informed of that at the meeting, that you or Joanne was gonna be gone, how long. We weren't notified who was gonna be in charge of the library, what we were gonna do. So I emailed you and you said, I agree with you, I'm assuming Danielle, but I'm not sure. And it's something that we should put on the agenda. I noticed it didn't make it on there, so we'll have to put that on August. Because in one of your packets you gave me, the library director in his absence is supposed to have a business manager here. So that interpretation again is when you are not here and you are on vacation, Joanne should be here. Now, if everyone's on vacation at the same time, who's running the library?
I didn't add it to the agenda only because I did discuss this with Leighton, and
But I asked you to, we agreed we were gonna add it.
Okay, so let's
Leighton
add-
should make the agenda.
Okay,
Is
yeah,
the
that was
first
my
thing.
fault. I told you not to, or because I discussed it with you, I didn't tell you to put it in the August, or this current month. But can you add it to August, just to discuss the vacation time? But the we'll touch about it next month. But the only
Perfect.
reason I didn't have him add it was because, right, this library's open all hours, Leighton's not here all hours, Jordan's not here all hours, so
Okay,
there are
and
backup
that, so we
people.
can also go over that as a new
Yeah.
policy also.
Okay.
We can discuss that, especially after what happened, but,
I'm sorry, did something happen?
My understanding is it's your, I'm talking right now. My understanding it's your agenda, the lawyer can add something to the agenda. You and I discussed it, I wanted it on the agenda, you said you were gonna add it, it's not Leighton's decision to decide what goes on the agenda.
Correct. Yes, I did say that was my fault because I discussed it with him and I didn't tell him to add it to the agenda. Okay, so 2 things for the next month meeting. Anything else regarding this current agenda or adding to next month's agenda? All right, so with the exception of not approving the meeting minutes from June 22nd, 22, is
Which
there?
you just accept the, EX, the minutes, then that's, we accept the consent agenda except for the minutes, is the way you know it.
Correct, we accept the agenda,
Except.
yeah. So we accept the consent agenda, except the regular meeting minutes of June 22nd, 2022. So if there are no objections, the consent agenda is adopted.
No, we didn't even motion to do consent agenda.
We can do,
Maybe
instead of roll call, we can do, like, it,
Madam
if there's no.
President, if I might
Yeah, yeah.
suggest the board.
Of course.
I was reviewing things in the Robert's Rules of Order, and it doesn't sound like the adoption of the consent agenda has to be done by a roll call vote. It seems that kind of like what we tried, and I sent this in an email to Rosa, saying that basically we can do the less formal, unless there are objections, this will be adopted. It's strictly a time-saving manner. You guys can do roll call votes on any particular item you want, but just based on my interpretation from researching in Robert's Rules of Orders, that to adopt a consent agenda, it didn't necessarily require a motion and a second. It was, and I know we've been doing it that way in the past.
That's what I'm
Right,
remembering, that we're
Right,
doing it.
that's the way we
what-
have been doing it in the past, but then as I was reading more about it, it sounded like it was an unnecessary step, but it is not something, if you guys choose to do it, that's entirely
So
within your
you-
purview.
So I will, before
That was
I-
just my recommendation in my notes to Rosa, that unless there's a,
Yeah, I'm
pressing
confused.
reason
Are
to
you
do
going
it.
to vote
Yeah.
on all of this, to approve them? That's what you're doing right now?
not to approve them.
Not to approve
But
them.
before we were doing it, a roll call vote to adopt the consent agenda, then we
Yes.
would discuss it, and then we were doing a roll call vote to approve the consent agenda. Based on what I was reading and Robert's Rules of Orders, it sounded like that initial vote to adopt it was extraneous, that it wasn't necessarily something we had to do, that if there were no objections, we could just through a lack of objection, similar to how if there's no objections, we can adjourn the meeting. It was if there's no objections, we could adopt the consent agenda. We could still discuss it like we've done in the past, and then afterwards, we will do a vote to approve the consent
Okay, so
agenda.
we're not approving it, right?
No.
Right, approve is still roll call,
And that,
adopt,
in that point
yea or
at,
nay.
in that
Okay.
point at objecting,
No, I'm noticing
Right.
something is a little different. so
exactly,
I
yeah,
just
and,
wanna make
and that
sure.
was just because it seemed like, you know what, it seems like this wasn't a necessary vote to take, and the process is still there to where if someone says, hey, I don't think the minutes should be included in the consent agenda, like what Deborah just
Yes.
did, we can take those minutes out of the consent agenda, make that its own separate thing, vote on it separately, and then we will also then take a separate vote on the minutes also. It was just something we were trying this month, because based on what I was reading, it seemed like it was an unnecessary vote, but it's definitely something you could always continue to do if you wanted. You could do roll call votes on any of those you wanted to do.
And if someone feels strongly that you want to do roll call for the adopt and the approve, then we can keep it at that. But for time, we're just gonna do yea or nays for adopting and then roll call for approving. Does anyone feel strongly about roll call for everything? Okay. Okay, so then that's, adopted. Now any questions or anything before we approve it?
About,
Invoice warrant, transaction list, check summary.
I just
Oh,
want to
sorry.
give a board an update of something that it's bothering me, like I already brought it up a million times. But I finally went in and dig out the first bank statement about these treasury notes that we are having. Because I keep seeing we're losing money on it. So I got the one from 2019, when I first started, I have a bank statement from it, and how much money we had in our treasury funds then, and how much we have now. So we basically lost like $24,000.
One,
So,
I'm sorry.
uh-huh.
I was gonna say, one thing we've done in the past that I could do again if you all would like is I've had our representative from the bank come in just to
We
talk
have
about all
to.
this stuff. Okay, if there's a particular month you'd like me to bring her in, I could request that
Yes,
she comes in.
absolutely, because,
Well, did she come in person last time, or was that a Zoom one
I
during
think
the?
it was a Zoom,
Okay,
right?
I
because
could,
if there's any changes, they will have to let us know. I mean, you or me as a treasurer, she will have to contact, she has our contact information. She will have to let us know if the money is being lost. So I'm telling you, it's like $24,000. And this is the first time I know the bank has changed, and this is from 2019, from June of 2019. And when I look how much we had then, and how much we have now,
Mhm.
it's a huge difference. I mean, monthly, you don't see it so much, but Joanne explained like, oh no, that's differently interpreted and this and this. I guess it's not, because the money is being lost.
Yeah, good catch.
okay, then I'll definitely arrange for that lady to
Yeah,
come
we
in
need to
and,
talk to her.
yeah.
We
I mean,
need to talk.
she's the expert, so,
Yes, and
Sure.
she's our advisor
Right.
from the bank, and she needs to advise us about this stuff. So we know how we are investing this money further on, and if not, just pull them out to put them in a saving account and whatever.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be losing it, because
Cool, any questions on treasurer's report? Profit and loss report? Balance sheet?
when did we have, once a year when we have the thing with the guys audit. Because we are done, how much money we owe to the IMRF, it's a huge amount. Is there something that, did they advise us to pay a little bit more?
yeah, they said that there were certain funds that were being underfunded. I'll look up,
This
I'll look up.
has been low for a long time.
Right, and it's something that has been understood, and we've been focusing on one of the other funds, and then the IMRF one was the next target. Let me go ahead and pull that up for you.
Yeah, it's down 80,000. So before we get in trouble from states or IMRF or whoever we can get in trouble from, I think that should be starting to be leveled up. So that is not that much. I remember the Sikich was, if you remember too, he was mentioning that we are way behind. But it was like 50,000, now it's 80,000. So whatever we are paying, it's not enough. I mean, you don't have to look at it right now. My thing was just like, if you
It's what
to keep an eye on it and maybe
Yeah,
start
I mean,
taking an
it is,
action.
it is something that they've identified. We've been monitoring it for years now.
Yes.
And there were two funds that they noticed were underfunded, and we've been chipping away at the one, getting that one up to date.
Uh-huh.
And then as soon as that one was okay, we were gonna shift focus and then focus on the
Okay.
IMRF one.
But just, in the meantime, if IMRF sends something that like we are super bad in the red, we have to take an action right away.
I do not believe that we are super bad with IMRF. In fact, we're probably ahead of many, but we are not where ideally we
And
could
you
be.
see, I don't know the rules, I don't know what's super bad rule, but it's down significantly. Like we are over them a lot of money, but we are not where we're supposed to be.
It's, yeah,
At one point, we were really behind, but I believe we,
I just want, like, have a note, like, keep an eye on it so we don't go like in some sort of trouble.
Just to see where we're at, yeah. Cool, anything else?
just a quickie, Natasha, when you say we're down, is that with the treasury bills? You're saying that we're down?
First, I said treasury bills, we lost $44,000 in 3 years.
How do you figure that?
Because I have a bank statement from 2019 of June, and how much money we had then with treasury bills and how much we have now, the difference is $24,000.
Did we use some of that money, pull some of the money out of the treasury bills?
Every time we pulled the money out, money was put back in.
Hmm.
I think
Are you
only
saying- are
once
you
we did
saying
it.
All right, this, in the treasurer's report here, where the bills are, there's $150,000, $160,000, and $125,000. Is that where you're seeing, or are you saying it's interest from those that we're losing money?
I'm looking at that, or maybe I'm looking at the market value. Is the market value that we're supposed to look as well? So that's the principle that we invested, but the market value is coming down.
Well, that's fluctuations in market value that's got nothing.
It's a big fluctuation. I'm just saying, let's talk to the lady. That was my whole point for bringing it up, to bring the lady from the bank.
Because it could be some of that is a little like the stock market, it goes up and it goes down.
Yeah, I
And it
understand.
doesn't mean that it's a bad investment, it's just, everybody else.
But this investment was supposed to be the best one.
Right.
A little bit
but
less.
the treasury bills, that value is static until we take it out. That hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Well, once she come in, then she's gonna explain anything she knows.
I just wanna, to let him if he can, I was asking if he was in contact with her, if not, to bring her over so we can talk. Have a little meeting with her.
It's good.
Not-
It's
I'm not
always
talking
good-
guys
it's
about
always
me
good
and
to have
later.
a meeting with them. It's
Enjoy
always
it.
good. Can't hurt. Can't hurt.
Because I was just clarifying for myself for you
Yeah.
receiving this, so. Okay, good.
Cool, any questions on the profit and loss report? Balance sheet? Check summary?
I just had a quick question,
Yeah.
it'll be quick. Why do we have Comcast, AT&T, Comcast Business, T-Mobile, and Verizon? I mean, we have one of every carrier. Don't we have a bundle, or don't we, what are all these individual ones for? Why would we have so many different carriers?
Verizon is the carrier for the SmartBook devices. They're like Wi-Fi enabled. They've got their own cellular data plans. Those are devices that patrons can circulate out. And for people that don't have internet access at home, they could take one of these devices out and jump on the internet and use it. those particular devices use Verizon as their provider. My work phone is on T-Mobile. Comcast is who we get our internet service through. I believe AT&T is who we get our library phone service through. I believe we also still have a POTS line in the elevator for emergencies. So yeah, there are these just different
I mean,
vendors.
isn't there one company between all these that does the bundles like Comcast does?
Not necessarily. I mean,
I mean, why, has anyone looked into it?
sure, we could look into it.
I mean, usually it's much cheaper than that.
Because
When
of
we bundle
money,
things. And how much is that hotspot Verizon being used if people are really checking out computers?
It's the
Is
hotspots, isn't it? That they-
Is that being kept track of it? Well, last time the Comcast was a hotspot, but now, say Verizon's a hotspot. So are those really being, is someone checking out a computer, taking it home and doesn't have internet? Why would they even attempt to take out a computer? Why wouldn't they just use their computer here? Why wouldn't we encourage them to use their computer here?
Because we try to provide service to all of our public.
Well, if they're already here though, why would they just, hey, this is a great brand new remodeled library, it's
Yeah.
amazing here.
Maybe they want to stay at home with their children. I don't know.
We-
I
we
can't,
want
I
it
can't, I
all
can't,
the
I can't, I
time,
can't, I can't speak for them.
Right.
All I can tell you is that we try to provide services for all the residents of Stickney-Forest View and Central Stickney. So,
But I like to see you encouraging, providing services in the library.
We do.
That's why we have the library.
we do.
Okay. When you're doing curbside and lockers and take home computers and everything's, pick up a crap by the curb and let's try to bring stuff back here and let the residents
So,
enjoy this.
well, I can say one thing, the limited library hours, people use the computers for looking up things for their, when they're doing papers and studying things, they need to have more access to the hours that they're working. Perhaps somebody has a job and then they have the off hours when they're doing the papers and things. So I can understand why they need to have access to a computer other than the library hours.
Well, that's why I didn't get a chance to see how many computers on average are being checked. You know, they're little things like this. Is that a big seller here?
They're very popular. At one point, we had wait lists for all of our hotspots.
Okay, I didn't see where that graph was.
Well, the hotspots are not necessarily computers, those are just the.
Right, the hotspots,
Users.
the hotspots are strictly Wi-Fi devices that use cellular data to communicate to the internet. So if a person has their own laptop, they don't need a separate computer, but they can't get onto the internet,
Right.
the hotspot provides that internet access for them. For a person that does not have a computer at home, we've got the smart books. The smart books are tablet computers that can also get onto the internet using cellular data. They can use those as a computer, and they could also use those as a hotspot as well. So if their kid has got a device and they want to use the smart book with the Bluetooth keyboard to do stuff, but they want to have somebody else tether to the hotspot, that is a possibility also. But yeah, the Wi-Fi hotspots are strictly internet access devices for people to get onto the internet from home.
Do you know which graph that is? That's in-
It might not be a graph that's in there. If it's a,
So we wouldn't be able to get the information or?
we could, it's never been asked for before.
Oh,
So
okay.
the,
I'm
the, the,
interested
the
in
board,
it.
the board packet only has things that people have asked for. So what exactly is it you're looking for?
I don't know if anyone asked for all this COVID stuff, but okay. I
Well,
would be interested in seeing it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Circulation stats on the devices themselves?
Yeah, the computers that are being checked out or the hotspots that are being used. They saw you had a Wi-Fi connection. Graph, I think it was. Like news bank, yeah. It's so confusing seeing all this graph.
I know, I've seen
Yeah,
people,
and
I've
I've-
seen people sitting outside the library using them. They could get the
And it-
Wi-Fi sitting outside. So I know people are
Yeah.
doing this.
Well, some people can do it, absolutely. And some people have unlimited and some people just have the hotspot. But it would be nice to know how much are we investing in this. Just this one internet alone is $1,300 something. That's like one of 7 packages that we're paying for. Is it,
What-
are we gonna pay $1,300 a month for one person to use it? How many people are using it? That's all I'm interested in. To see if
I
it's-
understand.
To see if
Yeah.
it's, fiscally
and-
responsible of us to
and-
be doing that.
And some of those devices, I think the SmartBook ones were also, they're being paid for through a grant that we get through this one organization, Age Options. So they're giving us $10,000 a year to spend, and we spend it on different things that are to benefit the seniors. And those, if it's the SmartBooks, I don't know which one you're looking at specifically, but if it's the SmartBooks, those are being paid for with this Age Options grant money that we got from this one organization. So.
what I'm interested in is what I'm saying is that are these being paid for all these different AT&T, Comcast Business, T-Mobile, Verizon? I think you're out of carriers. I don't know another one that you don't have, except for the Cricket phone, I think, if that's still in business. That's what I'm saying is, just because we have the money doesn't mean we have to keep blowing it on nonsense. Let's, treat this like it's our own checkbook. Aren't we all, isn't it all over our boat? Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I shouldn't be looking at those.
No, there's a reason for certain things, and there are certain things for a reason.
And that's all. That's all because I knew I was asking for an
I
explanation.
understand, and it's okay to ask
If Lane could
questions.
explain it to me, that'd be awesome.
And in regards to the hotspots, I know we haven't asked how many people are using them because Layton in the past has reported that there were people waiting to get the hotspots, and we had to tell certain people we had to say you could only use it for so long because other people were.
And that's when COVID started.
Yes.
Yeah, there's way that's when COVID started.
So we've never asked because we have heard that there were waiting lines.
Right.
So we know that they were being well utilized.
Okay, well, cool. That's one of the graphs we would like to see added for moving forward.
Yeah, and like quarterly, I try to prompt the board members that if there's something in the packets that you would like to see, to give us guidance on, what are the things that you would like to see in these board packets.
Sometimes there's something you've been looking at every day and you don't see it. So this is a good point.
True.
Never
Very
know.
true.
Just
So,
never
yeah.
know.
Cool. Good point. Thank you. Anything else?
I have one suggestion.
Yeah.
So we are up for renewal for this news bank.
I'm sorry?
News bank.
Mhm.
It's up for renewal for the next year. It's over $4,000. And very low amount of people are using it. I keep looking at previous ones, it's like 6 people a month and stuff like that. To me, that's super expensive, and I'm going to tell you why. Mitch asked, he came in the library and he needed help finding something for the lady, for the Linda that was writing the book. And he asked Sonia to help him with this, and she went on the news bank, and she couldn't find nothing. Maybe one article, but it wasn't the one that she was looking about, somebody that she was writing about. So he went and he found out this other search engine, it's called newspapers.com, which costs around $75 a year. $74,000, yes. And he found over a dozen articles that it could not be found in the newsbank. Is there something maybe we could consider of switching or something like that?
I could look into it. It's
And maybe
newspapers.com.
not pay this bill right now, keep it like
Like,
on
don't
the
renew
side.
it. Don't renew it.
It's
yet.
huge amount. And I even went yesterday, it was about, I was like, let me check it out. And you don't even see like the article, like how it looks in a newspaper. It's written like over here, something like that. You can see like exact, some of them you can, but not all of them, which I thought that was maybe a purpose of it.
Mhm.
This is like a huge research that's how they're selling it for colleges, for public, servants and stuff like that. But honestly, it's not really good.
Okay.
I mean, it's $4,000 difference in the price.
Yeah, for sure. But
And if not, nobody's really using it, and you can find more
It's
stuff.
a low
on
amount.
another one.
if we can find an alternative, I don't want to get rid of it completely because if there's 6
Yeah,
people
so-
using it, then 6 people.
Yeah, if somebody wants to look into the other one
Yeah, if we can find an alternative,
and
that'd be
just
great.
not pay this for the next year, because I don't think it's due until end of the year anyway.
Okay,
That's what it says. So I will just postpone it.
cool. If you can just write it down, I'll
Yeah, it says January.
to find an alternative for it. If there's like an equivalent alternative.
Yeah,
to
I mean, we
compare
have,
them.
they do have Suburban Life and everything in it too, but we already subscribed to that, or, Chicago Tribune Online for a year here, and everything else we're paying like all the other newspapers that you can access online as well. So just the search one, pays so much, I mean, that's a little waste.
No, that's awesome. I love to hear you guys are checking it out, looking at the,
That's just because
Our
I know
resources.
about it personally, otherwise
yeah,
I wouldn't know.
cool. Anything else?
I just had a question. manager duty is, if somebody wanna explain?
About what?
Safety manager.
Oh, safety law.
Yeah, that's one of our department heads who is the primary focus, he's the primary safety officer. He's also the one that comes in off hours if we need to have someone coming in to work on the utilities or the phone system, whatever, and they need to come in at like 6 in the morning. He's the one that comes in and does that.
That's what a safety officer is? And where is that in the bylaws? Who made up that job?
Where are you finding that?
On the salaries.
It's one of the salaries.
$6,400 for being on call for the year?
Well, this isn't part of the consent agenda.
No, he just asked a question about,
I just
what
said
he
the
just
question.
asked a question, I don't know.
I just said the question. That's
No, you, but it just, comes up someplace else.
Maybe under new business, I don't know.
Okay, so that's what it is, to answer your question. Is there something you want to add to the next month's meeting in regards to that? Do you want to discuss it more?
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll add it to the next month's meeting. What was it called? Safety?
I did it for a couple of months, and I'll tell you something, you couldn't pay me enough. In the middle of the night, when the alarm goes off here,
Yeah.
you have to get out of bed, come here, meet the police, meet the firemen, walk around the building, make sure everything is okay.
Okay.
And
So usually that's like 3 hours of pay they would give you if you were in the union. They would give you $6,800 a year to maybe help somebody. That's what Layton described it as.
this is and the alarm goes off, I don't know how many times it goes off. It goes off it just goes off all the time. It's the strangest building. This is the weirdest building. I did it, like I said, I must have had to come in, I did it for 3 months, I must have come in 6 times.
Well, that would be an interesting graph to see how many times.
Yeah, you ask Mark how many times he comes in. Because you couldn't pay me enough to get out of bed in the middle of the night.
Report. Doesn't he usually have a report in here?
Okay, so we'll add that for the next month's meeting.
And not only that, but he's knowledgeable to figure out what's wrong with whatever's happening. It's a bargain at $6,000.
Awesome. Anything else?
That one I wouldn't quibble over, trust me. Wouldn't quibble over that one.
Well, I'm sorry that you missed the salary meeting.
Me too.
I know. Next time, next year.
That one, don't quibble over that one, please. It's worth every penny on that one.
Check summary. Transaction list. Warrants. All right, so is there a motion to approve the consent agenda
Except
without the June 22nd, 2022 minutes, but with the June 2022 financials, invoice warrants, and payroll warrants? Motion?
So moved.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. I'll second it. Sam?
Yes.
Natasha?
yes.
Timmy?
Yes.
Edgar?
Yes.
Sylvia?
I wasn't here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Marge, yes. Rosa?
Okay, director's report.
You have to vote on the minutes separately.
What was that?
You have to vote on the minutes separately.
Oh, sorry, just kidding. Yes. And then, so regarding the regular meetings, June 22nd, 2022, we are voting not to approve those minutes.
Well, you could just treat it like a separate motion. Is there a motion to approve it? Do they need to be
Oh, no.
amended? I've got the video if you want to review any of that information.
Okay, so is there a motion, so how do you say to approve?
So under negotiation of employee salaries, it should be, the motion was voted, 3%, and that's it. There was no other motion voted. There was no tabling, there was 3%, no salaries, no negotiations. The motion failed.
Hang on a second.
vote to approve the minutes. If the vote is no, then they will be rewritten and produced in August for approval.
Correct.
For amended.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve the minutes of June 22nd, 2022?
Not to approve them until they're reprinted and passed out into August. We would vote on approving the minutes in
A
June,
motion to not approve the minutes.
unless you can approve it with the corrections of the salary being.
Well, it
No,
sounds like it's.
I'd rather we fix it and see it.
Because it's not a simple correction, so
Okay.
it's, let us correct them and
And
resubmit.
then we'll just re-vote on it in
Resubmit
August.
them.
So we're voting not to accept the minutes.
Correct. Motion, or is there a motion to approve not to accept the meeting minutes of June 22nd, 2022?
I make the motion that we not approve the minutes for the June 22nd.
Okay. Okay, Sam,
Yes.
Natasha? Yes. Debbie?
Yes.
Edgar?
Yes.
Sylvia? Sylvia, we do. Yeah. Marge? Yes. Rosa?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so now director's report.
Did anyone have any questions about the director's report?
Here are your correspondence.
Oh, correspondence. As referenced in the director's report, we had the fraud auditor incident. We had lots of correspondence from people that were from out of states that were riled up by the video. We had a lot of nice local correspondence that I'll share. First off, I'll just pass that around. This was actually, we received a nice letter and some cookies from the Friends of the Riverside Public Library. They were very supportive. You know, we also received a lot of nice community support on our social media platforms. The card over there I put on display as a representative from correspondence. Also, one of our patrons had her kids drop off that nice card for the staff. And the only other one that I wanted to share with the group was we received about 40 just really obnoxious voicemail messages from all over, you know, Pennsylvania, Ohio. But then I received this one voicemail that I thought was really sweet that I thought I'd share with the group. And let me know if you'd rather not listen to it.
I'd rather not. We can
Okay.
skip that. You sent us all the emails to listen to.
Okay.
That was disgusting.
It wasn't included in the ones I emailed out,
That's
but
okay.
yeah.
The cards doesn't.
Cool, any questions for Leighton?
Is that the end of your report? Was there anything else for your report, Lee?
No, it's all in my printed report.
Well, let's discuss why my mailman told me that on 7/23, the library was left open, unattended. Could not find anyone, had to call the police. 6 of our officers had to show up and walk through the library, in and out. Yeah, we got 13 emails on your audits, but not a one to let us know that this library that you were so petrified and shut down was left unattended for someone to come burn down to the ground, set on fire, hide in this basement. You're worried about people getting stalked, so you can't release their names, but yet we leave the library wide open. Who was on duty to lock this library on Saturday, 7/23?
Our department head secured the doors when he left. The UPS driver or the mailman, whoever came.
Who is the department head?
Okay, the department head in question was Mark Ariano.
Oh, the safety officer, Sylvia?
Yes.
Safe building,
Yes.
okay. And so what is this? The doors swung open after he secured it, or how did that go out?
I was not here.
Oh, okay. So you think this is acceptable to just go on your merry way and leave the library unattended? When according to the schedule, he's supposed to be working till 5:15. And this was at, what time did the police have to call you to come close?
The
it?
library's closed at 3 o'clock on Sunday. We're on
Okay,
summer
what about
hours.
your curbside service?
That is also, the library closes at 3 o'clock.
Right, then why did you send me an email with the weekly list of everybody's work hours that someone's in the library at 5:15 PM
Well, then somebody must not have updated the spreadsheet.
for every week? So who would be at fault for that?
whoever's responsible for entering their department's timesheets into that spreadsheet.
Okay, so going back to Mark again, why weren't the doors secured?
Mark,
We are so petrified that is negligence, it's incompetence to go walk out and run out to your car and go on your merry way for the weekend and leave this library unattended when you all were so scared we had to shut the library down. So I want to know what happened to him.
as I stated, I was not here.
You're his boss, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was trying to answer your question.
Okay.
As I stated, I was not here. He reported to me that before leaving, he pushed on the doors to make sure they were secure.
Okay, but obviously they weren't. If the police were walking around in here and the library was unattended. So what repercussion did you do as his supervisor? I would say he should be terminated immediately, if not minimally reprimanded in his file. To leave a library unattended is ridiculous.
He did not leave the library unattended.
He didn't leave it unattended, so the police just broke through the door and then replaced it before you got here? Or the UPS man? Who opened the door?
It sounds like the UPS man tugged on the door and was able to open it. I was not,
Because
as I
of Mark's
stated,
negligence,
as I
he
was
not
stated,
blocked.
I was not here. The department head reported to me that he checked the doors
He would not
before
have
leaving.
checked the door if the
Do we have
UPS man-
cameras by the doors?
Not that face towards the doors.
I would like to make a motion that he be talked about in August for either termination or some other act. This is ridiculous. You are petrified of this library, so you locked it, you locked all the patrons out, you locked everyone out. 13 emails late and you couldn't send this board one email. 13 emails you sent us about fake people videotaping and pushing all your buttons so that you washed your mind. But you don't want to send us one email to let us know that our library, that I have to hear it from the mailman on the street.
That happened.
That's not important.
How's the mail, not that it matters. How does the mailman know?
The mailman is the mailman. The mailman came here. So the UPS guy must have told the mailman, or the mailman told the FedEx guy. This is a small town, as we all know, when people talk.
Yeah.
And then when you go by and you see 6 squads and everyone knows you're on the library, they start blowing up your phone. Is everyone okay? What happened at the library? And because it's so close to this audit that lady had to lock down the library for, they thought this big threatening was going on, like somebody put a bomb in the library, when literally Mark didn't lock the door.
I don't think it's fair to say he didn't lock the door.
Okay, how did it get open? So it wasn't not secure.
Who's to say?
Who else has keys?
It could be a mechanical malfeasance too.
And how many times has the mechanical thing happened?
I can think of it at least 3 times offhand.
Okay, well, I would like that put on the agenda to discuss this situation and see if he's gonna be terminated according to the board, written up, or what action is gonna come out of this. Nobody should be able to leave anywhere unattended like this. And he's a safety officer. So did he have to come back when the police called him and get paid to relock the library that he claimed he locked already? Why were you called?
Because I'm the director.
Oh, but the safety officer is supposed to be getting called.
Mhm.
So why were you called?
I have no answer for you.
Oh, I thought the safety officer that was getting paid would be the one to get the call,
Mhm.
like Sylvia suggested, to come back and lock the library.
Mhm.
After he locked it once and relocked it. So you have no answers? Great.
Okay, so we.
I do, we had a department head meeting the other day, and on my list of things to do was to contact the police to find out what their call tree looks like. And I was not unfortunately able to get to that yesterday.
Oh, okay, but from 7:23, you couldn't email this board that there was an incident here? To not panic, it wasn't the audit, it was actually a mechanical error or a person not locking it, but yet 13 emails. I'm gonna call the lawyer, I'm gonna shut down the library, I'm gonna do everything. 13 emails, but not one
sorry,
to let us know that this
I'm-
library was open.
I'm sorry, so are you more mad that I sent you 13 emails?
No, I'm more mad that you did not let
Okay,
us,
okay.
this board
I just wanted to
know
make sure if I need
that
to
Mark
restrict
as
the
a
number of
safety
emails I
officer
sent. Okay.
did not do his job. That's what I'm upset about. And then we are not notified. In case you didn't know, Lynn, here's 2 charts, because you continually give me these charts. So I just want to point out, in case Layton doesn't give you guys these charts. And the charts clearly state here, in case you can't see, Joanne, residents, that's who the boss is here. Then they get the library board of trustees, that's all of us. Then it's Layton. You are not our boss. You are supposed to be letting us know what's going on. We are your boss. So you should be letting us be informed of information. that goes on in this library. Important information. Not that you ordered another shield guard that we may or may not need, but leaving a library unattended and the police having to be called is very important. And anyone in this room should agree. If you don't, I'm sorry. But let's not forget, and you gave me a white copy too this way too. Same structure, so you know. We have to answer to the residents. So when the residents come in and call, and the residents are trying to find out what happened, we should have the answers, because we have to answer to them.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so I'll add that for the next month's meeting, if we can just get something of, whether Mark wants to be present or just write a letter, if he can just tell us what he believes happened, so we can get his side of the story. That would be great.
And I guess at this point, we could eliminate the safety officer, because Leighton just did it for free. The police called him and he came and locked the library. Look how that worked out, Sylvia. We just saved ourselves almost $7,000 a year. Leighton just did it on his salary. So we can talk about that also.
Okay, so that is, that's already on the next month's meeting, is to see how often, Mark does come in to work. Okay, anything else for, administrative news, financial updates, or building news? Any questions from you guys, for Leighton? Any questions from us to Leighton?
I answered mine, I didn't get the answer to things.
All right, trustee training, what it means to be a trustee.
I really have one question. Was anything done or said to Mark about the door being open?
Yes, I asked him what had happened. He said he secured the doors. I noticed there were packages on the counter. I asked him, is it possible that the delivery person tugged hard on the door and was able to get it to open, which has happened in the past, or the wind has blown it open. Sometimes the bolts that come down out of those doors that go into little holes in the ground, sometimes there's debris in those holes, and sometimes the poles don't go down all the way. They're not
So what
perfect.
has to be done, it's done when there's a problem with the door?
No, there's a problem
Wait, no,
with human
wait,
error.
wait. So, no, wait, so there's a problem with the door? Is that what we're saying?
I'm saying that it's not a perfect system. And
Which door are we talking about?
the 43rd Street entrance.
And so that door doesn't close properly?
No, for the most part it does, but the way those locks.
Well, wait, we can't take for the most part. We can't, can't even hear people saying, for the most part, it's not an answer. We cannot tolerate for the most
Okay.
part.
So, as I was about to state, ground level, hole in the ground level, door lock, hole goes into hole, hole keeps door from opening. Sometimes crap falls into the hole, the door lock goes into the hole but can't go down far enough, someone tugs on the door and the pole can open up, the door can open up. So when I went to investigate the situation there, I got a little can of compressed air and made sure to blow out those holes in the ground.
And how much came out of there? Because I have
I
tried
did
things
not-
like that. It will not go down if it's blocked. If it goes down, that means it's secure. Twist it any which way you want. Either the door's broke or.
I'm sorry, I was just answering the question that was put forward to
Oh,
me.
I know. It sounds like a great story, but
So perhaps that's got to be part of the maintenance person's routine thing, don't you think?
Mhm.
Maybe that would be, so I mean, if that's a routine problem, then that's gonna be part of routine maintenance. I mean, we cannot let that just be, perhaps that locks, perhaps that, it's kind of loosey-goosey to me.
correct.
Wait, so the only way the
But
door
wait,
locks?
if you try, you will see it, right? Wait, I don't understand one thing. First he locked the door,
Yes,
and then the mailman came in.
yes, and opened it mysteriously, and left the packages and called the police because he couldn't find anyone.
And then he saw the packages.
And was the mailman able to lock the door?
Pardon?
Was the mailman able to lock the door?
No,
He
but
called the police because he.
Wait, I asked a question.
No.
No one was able to lock the door.
Till they called
Okay,
late.
so we obviously have a problem with that door, then we have to make sure that that hole is always kept clean. Is that where we think the remedy is?
I-
Keep that hole clean and then the door locks. Seems like a simple remedy to me.
Well, I'll
And
put
I'm not
it
a
on the
simple
police
person.
department and see how many times they were called for the door mysteriously being open. How many times is the door not locked? I mean, we got graphs of everything, I'm sure you got a file somewhere.
No, Sylvia, what I'm
Something.
thinking,
It's
like,
not, it was not locked.
you lock the door even in your house, and then you check if it's open or not. Right? So even if he didn't go down and he locked it, it will go wide open and he will fix it, right?
I would think so.
Correct.
Yeah, so maybe he didn't lock it.
Well, that's apparently the problem.
Correct.
I think what we need to do, I mean, short of, so what we need to do, always make sure that that hole is kept clean. That's, I mean, I'm a very simple person. I'm a very simple person. To me, if you say it locks if the hole is clean, okay, keep the hole clean.
But you don't see it, like you lock it and the hole is,
If
let's
the
say,
hole was
loaded.
locked, it wouldn't go down.
And you
will
try it
push
again,
and
it
just
will
open,
push it open,
just
right?
like the UPS guy. It
So,
sounds
I
like a
mean,
good
I-
scenario.
I have
It's not
people
getting out.
cleaning people that I pay $1 billion to. Part of their cleaning thing is clean the damn hole. I don't know.
No, point is, who's in charge to lock the door? Make sure before you leave, it's locked. But if it's any problem,
Well,
then,
that's certainly,
but if it's any problem, then call who's in charge and let them know to come, get somebody and fix it right away. You can't leave the library open all night.
Apparently, maybe it was before and no one even knew.
Is it possible, we had the same problem at the Boys Club where we would lock it, but our front doors face the sun, and when the sun really beat down on it, the doors would bow a bit and cause the little latch to get in there. But we had our maintenance guy kind of adjust to that and give it a little wiggle room, but.
I think if that was the case by now with all these 90s and 100s, it would happen a lot more than,
That's what
Mark
was
was in a
happening,
rush
so
to
if you
prevent.
lock the door, then we would notice a little bit later, if you really tugged on it, it would open.
it's probably older too.
Yeah,
It's probably older than these doors, I would assume.
well,
If it has happened before, then you cannot necessarily blame the person. It would be a mechanical or a thing that has to be.
this is the physical problem. This
It's
is
a
the
little
physical
bit
problem.
It's a little bit.
Because the hole gets filled up. That's the physical problem. All right, I'm sorry, I just think that we need to just, if it's a simple fix, then it's a simple fix.
If the lock doesn't work, the lock needs to be fixed.
But if you check it, then you will see it if it's working.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead, let's do the
Okay.
trustee moment. We all need to be learned, we all learned to be delivery trustees.
Welcome to Short Takes for Trustees. I'm Beth Novolinsky, the Director of Marketing and Communications for United for Libraries. We are the division of the American Library Association for trustees, advocates, friends, and foundations. Today I'm here speaking with our Executive Director, Sally Gardner-Reed, about what it means to be a library trustee. So Sally, what does it mean to be a library trustee?
I think the simplest answer is in the name itself. It's to hold the public trust, to ensure that their investment in their library is employed to ensure that best practices are used to deliver services and programs that the community wants and needs to grow intellectually and to have a quality of life that enables them to be great citizens and full participants in their local government and to enjoy lifelong learning.
Is there a difference between governing boards and advisory boards?
There is a difference. It's a pretty big difference, actually. Governing boards have the full responsibility for all assets of the library. That's their fiduciary responsibility. It means that they hire, evaluate, and can fire the library director. The library director is a direct report to them. They are typically elected at large by the community, or else they're appointed by the governing body of their entity, whether it's county or city. And again, they do have the full responsibility for the library. Advisory boards are, as the name implies, there to just simply advise the library director. They're representatives of the community, and they sometimes help with the same types of jobs that the governing board does. They assist with policy setting. Sometimes they assist the city or county manager with the library director's evaluation, but they have no direct authority over the library director and no direct authority over the library itself.
And for the purposes of our discussion today, are we talking more about governing boards or advisory boards?
We'll be talking throughout the series really more about governing boards, but actually much of what we'll be discussing will be applicable to advisory boards as well.
Earlier you mentioned fiduciary responsibility. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes, most people think of fiduciary responsibility as simply financial responsibility, but it actually is much more than that. It is a responsibility to act in good faith always, to have no self-interest, to have no conflict of interest. That means no hiring of kin, no letting contracts out to your brother-in-law. It really is acting at that very high level of integrity in all actions.
And we're going to talk in another session about board ethics, which you were just referencing. Can you tell me a little bit about the pros and cons of having a fiduciary board?
I am a firm believer that it's always best to have a fiduciary board. They give a lot of protection to the library director because the library director is a direct report to that fiduciary board, and I believe that the fiduciary board is a lot more directly connected to the community. When there isn't a governing board, it is typically the case that the library director is a direct report to either the city manager or the mayor or the county administration. And that means that that library director is typically at will employee. And that means that if the county or city administration finds some of the materials in the library objectionable and want them removed from the shelves, the director's in a pretty difficult spot to keep them there because he or she can literally be fired by not complying. Also, when the library director is a direct report to the city or county administration, they have to walk a pretty fine line in being direct advocates for the library's budget. So advisory boards do have less liability than governing boards, but the director has far less protection.
You mentioned less liability. What do you mean by that?
Well, when you are a fiduciary for a nonprofit, you have a certain level of risk because you are in charge of the assets of that nonprofit. Courts are generally very liberal in their take on nonprofit board members. So they understand that nonprofits are a corporation and board members acting in good faith within a nonprofit are generally protected by the courts. Not always, but generally. You don't often hear of library board members being sued, for example. But there is a level of risk. So one of the things that library boards can do is indemnify themselves, and that means that they write into their bylaws that the library will cover board members and their expenses if they're sued, regardless of how frivolous, by the library's budget. So that helps protect individual board members to a degree. But most attorneys will advise board members of nonprofits to be sure that they have directors and officers insurance. And this insurance covers the board in total as well as individuals for all legal fees and all court costs if they are sued with the exception of being sued for discrimination cases in which individuals on a board are found guilty. So it's a really good insurance to have.
So there really is a lot of responsibility in being a trustee.
There really is, but there's also a lot of gratification.
Can you describe effective board-director relationships for us?
Yes, I think simply put, it's when trustees govern and directors manage. But that sometimes is easier said than done. It's not always a clear line when governing lets off and management begins. So I think one of the ways to sort of test it is that boards should be looking outward. They should be looking at community. They should be setting policies for delivering services to that community, promoting the library to the community, advocating for library services to the community. The director should be seen, I think, as the chief executive officer, the CEO. He or she should be the one responsible for the staff, for developing services and programs to meet the needs of the community, for managing the budget on a regular basis, overseeing that financial piece, doing all the operations that a normal CEO would do to move the library forward and to make sure that the library is meeting the needs of the community. So I think it's a good relationship is one where there's a high level of trust, where trustees, as I say, govern, where librarians manage, and there's not micromanagement on the part of the board, but on the other hand, the director keeps them well informed and respects their input and respects them as well.
Can you give us a concrete example of this?
Yes, I think the development of a collection and policy is a really good area to look at. So for example, the Library Board of Trustees will adopt a collection development policy. They will look at a draft that perhaps the director brings to them. They will ensure that it meets the needs of their community, that it works for their library. They'll modify any draft that comes to them and finally adopt it. And when they do, they stand behind that policy and hand it off to the director. And that policy provides a framework for collection development by the staff. So the trustees don't decide which books to purchase and what materials should go into the collection. That's for the staff to decide. But as I say, the board needs to stand behind it because it is their policy. So when materials are challenged, and that does happen from time to time, people have differing views on what's objectionable, the board needs to be prepared to stand behind their own policy. Now, most collection development policies will come with a reconsideration form for those who find materials objectionable. They can fill out the form. That usually goes to a collection development committee for their feedback, and then it goes to the director for his or her comment. And then if that doesn't satisfy the person who is challenging, it can go to the board. If that material was selected well within the framework of the policy, again, I have to say that it is the board's policy and it's really their job to stand behind their own policy.
That sounds like a very important and often difficult role for library trustees. And we'll be talking about policy development in another session. Thank you, Sally. This has been a really good discussion about what it means to be a library trustee. And I can see from our discussion here that when there's a great library, there's a great board and director relationship, providing a good foundation for success. And I'd like our listeners to know that we've developed a list of additional resources which your director will provide to you. We invite you to review that list and discuss any questions that you have with your library director. Thank you.
On that note, do we have insurance and indemnify thingies? Oh, we do? No. Any questions on that video? Cool. Department head reports. Any questions? Do you guys read them? Any questions, comments, concerns?
Yes, I'm glad to see that Danielle finally took the you and I spoke about, like, that says in her report that she's gonna try to do a second craft if one fills up.
Oh, cool.
So that, I think that's a plus, maybe that will get more kids. Because I noticed some of the crafts are basic too, like this Fruit Loop one, it looked tasty. You don't really run out of Fruit Loop, so you show, but it looked good. Like, the picture is good too.
Cool.
We have the most fantastic children's department.
I wish they would just do a little more, Sylvia. There's a lot of blanks on the calendars. If you take off the calendar all the lunches, basically, I mean, on Saturdays, I would like to see 2 or 3 things done. Because what are the kids doing on the weekend in the summer besides aggravating their parents? You know, there's
The
nothing.
parents have to bring them in.
do.
Did you see that?
Right.
I think they try to fund programs, but the parents don't bring them in because they're usually doing family programs.
Yeah, look at the calendar.
No. Allegedly during July, every time you went on the calendar, it said the event's full, but it was 12 people. Well, 12 kids. When I came to witness the craft myself, there was 5 kids here. Because the rest of them reserved a spot and bailed, or, that's
Yeah.
why I don't think there should be a reservation for it, because somebody's kid wakes up with a cold, they took someone's spot who really wanted to go. That's not really fair. It should be first come, first served. This is what time it opens, the first 15 people get a craft, and the other ones go color at the coloring table. You got enough places. And that kids section is so nice, the younger ones with the rug and the.
I don't run the show. I don't know how to run a show.
I don't think there was a suggestion I made to Layton. He could do what he wants with it. So you can throw it away or you can listen to it. But when you get out on the street and talk to people, when you're a resident here, you walk around here, your own business is here, you do hear feedback from people. They like being able to come back and do the craft here instead of taking home. The whole point of getting your kid out of the house is to get out of the house. So you don't have the glue on your table. The library has the glue on your table. So, I mean, that's a positive note that we're back doing it. If we're not restricting it, I don't know why we're restricting the crafts. It seems like from the schedule, it looked like there was plenty enough people, or maybe too many in the morning, that should be shifted to another craft.
Like I said, I don't, all I know is that they're just, it's just one, that's the most successful department we have in this library. And
The most visited.
What?
Maybe the most visited.
The most successful in everything, between crafts and story times and getting all the schools involved, and it's the most successful. It is. You can't refute that. They're the best fundraisers, and but I don't know about how they do it, how they figure out how many kids can do Lucky Charms crafts and how many kids can do marshmallow
I mean, it's a
crafts.
bowl of Fruit Loops with a thing of marshmallows.
Well, like I said,
I mean, the picture looks good, but it doesn't look all that hard. That's what I mean.
I don't know how they figure that out. I'm not gonna.
My craft days are over. I'd rather go buy a present at Target for kids.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I don't want
Just
to move my house.
quick
I
side,
know that there's a million kids doing their,
just a quick side note, Sylvia. Thank you again for the letter you wrote, but Danielle didn't get that award that we put her up for. So
pardon me?
Danielle did not receive the ILA award that we nominated her for. So, but thank you for the letter you wrote.
Yeah, I don't know how to run a program for kids. I don't know how to run an adult program. I'm not a master's degree program prepared librarian, so I don't do that. I try to help them do it by being here. That's all I know.
And that's good. That's good, Sylvia. I would like to have it. Sure.
Okay, committee reports?
I'm sorry?
None, no committee reports. There was no unfinished business.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I know we had tabled the salary discussion to September, but I didn't think it needed to be included in unfinished business until September, so I just left it off.
Well, it's not tabled until September. There's no vote on it.
Yeah, so we do have to vote on, like, if we were to table it, right? Like,
You would
Let's
have
put
to
a
have,
motion.
you would have had to have a motion and a second and do a vote, because that's what we did for the 3%.
yeah, can it be?
Okay,
The motion
so,
we
so
had.
then, please tell me, should I inform the staff then that there's no raises this year?
So, I would
When
like,
we were talking, March said at least 6 months, Natasha said at least 6 months. Then you and Layton were talking about tabling until whatever. We all kind of just went along with it. We said it's gonna take at least 6 months between waiting for our money from the state, the gas, the electric, and all that. That's my opinion. That's what I thought her whole opinion was when we were sitting here.
My personal opinion is I don't want to tell the staff that no, they're not getting any raise.
I don't know why the staff have to be informed of anything. I don't know
No.
why, so they didn't get a raise. Boo-hoo. Are we gonna go tell them every week, oh, you didn't get a raise, you didn't get a raise, you didn't get a raise? You already told them they're not getting a raise, so why do we have to keep reminding them they're not getting a raise? I have the printout right here. Like, I'll make the same exact comments that I made last time. Some of these people are making $27, $28, $29, $30, $31, $32 an hour. I don't make that. I don't know if you make that, maybe you do. Medicare people, people on pensions, people on fixed incomes, they don't probably even make that. So stop with the raises across the board. If you think someone's deserving that's been here for a long time, why should a person that just started 6 months ago or a year ago go get a raise 3%? What entitles them to that raise? If somebody's doing above and beyond, then maybe we do have to revisit it. Maybe if somebody's been here for 15 years, they're probably not even at the same level that someone got hired 2 years ago. Because as soon as COVID, people were so desperate, they jacked up all the prices. You could go to Walmart for or Sam's Club for $18 an hour. But if that's how the staff feels, then go. Like I said, go in the snow, get the cart, go to Target, have people scream at you, smell like French fries at Wendy's, go. This is not a difficult public place to work. And mostly everyone that's coming in here is very pleasant. Nobody comes in outrageous, screaming, yelling. You know, they didn't get their fries, they didn't get their hamburger, the price is too high. They're here to come and enjoy your company. So it's not like you're putting out fires every day at this job. So mine is still though. Mine is still the same way that we
No, let's revisit it in January and talk about it then.
Yeah.
January. Mine is I don't like turnover, and I would not stay on the job if I would not get a raise, a yearly raise, whether it's a yearly bonus or yearly raise. I know you get paid for doing your work or for doing a good job, which I know next year we're tabling merit increases, because I know right now we do all across the board, and I don't like that. So next year we will be looking at changing it to merit, depending on how like one wants to work that, whether it's years here or how you work. But
we are we sitting, are we the ones that are going to determine merit? Do we determine merit?
no.
I would
Let's
think
not
that would
even
have to
get
be a
into that one.
suggestion from the department head, a suggested.
So then we shouldn't be doing it, then, that's why we can't do merit.
Because we're so small, it makes it difficult to do merit.
But we wouldn't decide who gets a 1% raise versus a 3% raise. If it's based on merit, that's up to Blaine and the department heads on their employees.
But the thing is, some of these people, I can agree, maybe do have to catch up. Someone like, I think that Ron only makes $19 an hour, and he's been here, how long has he been here, Ron?
I don't have that information at my
How
fingertips.
many days have we seen him for 5 years, 10 years, 3 years, 1 year?
I thought
8
he was
years?
just had an anniversary.
7
It
or
was
8
1 year,
years?
you were here 10 years, he's here 9,
Six.
something like that.
Maybe.
So he's
6.
only up to $19 an hour. Then you have somebody like, I think this Kathleen, did she replace somebody, Lagerstrom? How long has
They
she been
elected,
here?
she replaced Layton.
Okay, well, she's
But
But
been
there
here
was
since
some other
50.
people in between.
So
But it's,
Sonia, I don't know how many years she's been here, I thought 4 or 5. She's already
She's more than 4 or 5.
5.
She's more than 4 or 5.
So,
We're just been here a long time.
so she's already $2 over Ron. So if she's here 8 and Ron's here 8, I mean, what does?
Ron, I don't think Ron has a master's degree. Does Ron have a master's degree? No. She has a master's degree.
So now we're just paying people on their.
I thought we were paying them by like being department heads. Aren't they supposed to be like in the same
Well,
level?
the department head should certainly get a little bit more, but,
When possible, I'd like to speak.
Well, maybe you could make a graph of how many years they've been employed here, so we can configure that in the situation here, because I don't think someone that just started 6 months ago should get across the board. I don't see why. What have they done so far? Maybe there is people in here that deserve it, and maybe there's people that definitely don't deserve it. And again, what was that? If you don't have a bachelor's and you don't even have an associate, and you're already making $15, $16, $17, $18, $19, $20, $21, and you don't like it, you can leave. I'm sure Layton has a list of resumes for other people. That's just my opinion.
And plus,
We have to keep, you have to keep people
Well-
happy, and we do have a good staff here. And we have a very knowledgeable staff.
And that's why they're staying though.
No,
They're
just,
staying
I mean,
because they already are happy. They're not-
related to
because
the
they know they're not
discussion
gonna
that
make this money
I'm
somewhere
not
else,
gonna
or they would have
interrupt
left already.
Oh,
No, they're not staying just for money.
Okay, but salary isn't on the meeting, on the agenda, we can, that's why we're just gonna table it. Well, if there's a motion to table it.
No, we're not, we're tabling it till,
So that's the thing, so the whole merit thing, that's not until next year, that's, Lane has to develop something that he needs to bring to the board, however that's gonna work, I'll give you a second to talk maybe on that. So merit is one thing, salary wise, they're not getting a, pay raise right now.
when are we gonna discuss this again?
So that's the option for the position right now is, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to table it until January 2023.
Until January?
I second that.
January?
Yeah.
You missed the last meeting where Natasha was explaining how some of the taxes, the state's holding back, the night board doubled, the electric, the ComEd was doubling. We were waiting till we could get a better handle on all our bills, how they were going, and you missed that whole meeting.
There's a huge possibility that we're not gonna get any tax property tax for 6 months.
Clayton, do you have anything to say on salary wise?
The only comment I wanted to add was that we take part every year in a salary survey put on by the organization HR Source. They compile information from libraries all around the Chicagoland area, and they break the data down into job positions, and then they have them ranked based on similar population sizes served, similar budgets, operational budgets, and similar number of staff on board, I believe. And the salaries that we pay are within the range of, the big libraries are able to pay more, the small libraries are paid less. Our salaries are not outside the ranges for similar libraries in our area. That's all.
All right, but I did read in the book that I checked out from the library how you shouldn't base the pay regarding libraries around you. This is our library. This has nothing to do with Riverside's library, their taxes, how much more they get. I read it in the book that you checked out. If you want, I can highlight it for you and print it out next time. You should not be basing salaries on libraries around you. Just like you shouldn't be saying, we're only gonna get one Saturday craft, because that library is only doing one Saturday craft, or we're only gonna get one notary, because that library, we should be voting on our own. This is our library with our people's tax dollars, and that's what it should be split up like, a piece of the pie. Riverside, their taxes, what they're getting is triple, quadruple. Lamont Library is very small, but they get a lot of taxes because their houses are worth more. I mean, if you're basing it on that, it's not just about finances, that way of how you're paying people. You have to include, did you see over $10,000 per month is just for their health insurance? Health insurance, life insurance, dental, vision, take that into consideration when you're just looking at hourly. Nobody's doing any of that.
Yes, we
Yes,
are.
you are.
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
we are.
then-
Oh, absolutely we are.
Well, then I think working at a library anywhere between $60,000 and $82,000 isn't so bad. You're not digging holes, you're not working at flipping fries. That's not a bad job, not a bad job at all.
Okay, so tabling, so you motioned for January 2023,
Yep.
you second. Is this a roll call thing? Sorry,
Yeah.
I'll let you do it.
Okay. Sam?
yes.
Natasha?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Edgar?
Yes.
Sylvia? No. Marge? No. Rosa?
Yes. Okay, that's January 2023. So new business, this one is the one that has the typo, so just know that. We would like to vote on, the ordinance, this is the one one that last year we said, no, this is what will cause us a tax increase to our residents. I think it's per household, it's somewhere around $5 to $10 per
$6.
household. $6.
Per year.
Per year, and that money goes towards our building.
Question.
Yes.
When we didn't approve it last year,
Mhm.
didn't it, the lawyer said if we lose it then, in order to bring back, is only on a referendum? What?
People were talking about that. I reached out to Tiffany to ask her if that was correct or not. She didn't think it was, but they were researching it, and she did not get back to me prior to today's meeting. I'm sorry, was that Sylvia?
That was last year, sir.
So last year, when this topic came up, the discussion was that if we did not pass it this year, that if we wanted to bring it back in the future, would we have to automatically go to referendum or not?
Absolutely.
And I don't believe that's correct, though, but I did reach out to Tiffany, and I'm waiting back to hear from her.
That's
That's what I'm saying, if we voted no last year, why are we bringing it back now?
Because giving one more opportunity to try to keep this on our tax rolls so we don't lose it. Without having to go to referendum.
Did you see how much more money we got this year than we did last year? On the property taxes, $600,000. We
That was-
received more.
that was
And
the-
you're worrying,
that was-
you're worrying, Natasha, you're worrying. Remember, you're the one who's worrying. Don't lose this tax.
That was the personal property replacement tax, that wasn't the standard property tax. This is the law, and it says the board may also levy an additional tax of 0.02% on the value of all taxable property in the district as equalized. And I'm sorry, it looks like it might be a little bit out of focus.
As equalized or assessed?
Yeah. So it says the board may do this. Within 15 days, it has to be published if it's passed. If within the 30-day period, a petition is filed by the public, they can challenge it and send it to referendum. But all it says in here is that the board may levy this tax. So as part of my job as director, I'm looking for funding for the library every July, which is the beginning of the fiscal year. I'm putting this on the agenda. And if it gets voted down again, it gets voted down again. But that's part of my job, is to look for the funding for the library. And like I said, I did not hear back from Tiffany with regards to that. She wrote, our office will do some research on this and get back to you. I told her that we were going to be talking about it this evening, but that if we did not have an answer by then we wouldn't act on it. But it just sounds like it's something we can do every year.
I just don't think we need $6 per household that bad to make us look terrible, asking people for more. And what did we cut inside the library to make up $6 per household? We can't keep going into residents' pockets. Why do you guys want to keep going into taxes? If we have the money in the building and maintenance, we just did the roof, we did the air, we did this, we did the mulch, we did all this beautiful stuff. What do you need that money for? Why do you have to tax the residents again?
We're not taxing, this has been an ongoing tax.
The residents aren't getting taxed?
They're getting taxed, but it's not like it's a new tax, this has been
Okay,
going on
well, it was
for years.
voted down last year, so.
Because somebody couldn't understand, they were trying to save people money.
Correct, which was all we should be doing.
Which is $5 a year? How much
Yes.
do you, that's one Starbucks coffee.
I don't drink Starbucks, so it's not to me.
Well, neither do I.
Okay.
But
No,
it's,
I think
you understand.
Don't you think it's better to let the residents know, hey, we did a good job for you and we saved you, whether it's $5, it's $5 over time, over years, over whatever. I don't think we need $5 per household that bad to make the library look terrible, that we had to raise their taxes. I don't care if it's $1 or $5.
No, this is.
No, you're not raising it.
You are, you're adding it on.
You're maintaining it.
You're adding
You're
it on.
maintaining it. It's not raising it, you're maintaining it.
She just said you're adding $6.
No, you're
per household.
maintaining it. You're maintaining the tax. You're maintaining a tax that has existed. You're not, it's not,
It
it's a
couldn't have
tax.
existed if they voted it down last year.
Well, because it was, first of all, they were trying to save people money. $5 a year, plus that tax or that savings will not hit them until this coming tax bill. So The concern was that people were not working during COVID. But this really didn't save them because they had to pay, the savings came almost 2 years, it will come almost 2 years afterwards, which by that time people are gonna be back at work. And in the meantime,
Okay,
we
well,
lost
your health insurance goes
because,
up,
because of
yeah,
So this is a tax that has been in existence all along.
But you keep saying it's only $5, it's only $6, but when you add that to your health insurance, your NICOR, your comment.
It's a tax
people are
that's been in
struggling.
existence all along. It's a maintenance tax on the building that's been in existence all along.
Except for
It's not a new tax, it's not a new tax.
Okay, so it's something we can all vote on individually, so whether that passes or gets
Okay.
shut down, we will vote on it. Just know this, as part of the library board, we seek adequate funds to carry out library operations, assist in the preparation and presentation of the annual budget in accordance with town charter. So the funds, I mean, some people $5 is a lot, some people $5 is not. It's not up to us, or it's not up to you to decide who, it's just, you're voting now on whether.
Let it be known that it's not a new tax. It's a tax that's been in existence all along. It's not a new tax.
I understand. My personal opinion is we offer a lot to the residents, and if we can continue offering it, awesome. I understand wanting to save residents money. We all pay taxes. We all have houses here. I get it. My taxes went up. I don't like it. But, so that's up to you on how you want to vote. So instead of
Are we
arguing
gonna
about
vote
it,
again then?
we are going to vote on it.
and don't, and Debbie,
Fell asleep because.
I won't.
Debbie, it was what, $35,000? Well, that would have taken care of most of our roof.
Well, that's what the salaries were too. I mean, you can't keep trading things and pretending what you're putting money for. If it's in a general fund, it could be for anything. But the roof's already paid for. So we still have money in the account. We still have money in that account. So that's why I don't know why we're going back to the residents again to ask them. Ask them, everyone just vote. And I don't have to convince you and you don't have to convince me. That's
No,
true.
we're not going to convince you
Right.
because you've already made up your
Correct.
mind.
Correct.
All right.
You made up yours and I made up mine. And that's what's good about disagreeing. Let's just take the vote.
Yeah.
And see how it
It's
goes.
logical.
It
That
is.
may be your opinion, but it doesn't make it right.
All right, can we make the vote?
Correct.
Okay, this is, we are approving
Yep.
ordinance.
FY 23-01, an ordinance adopting a building and maintenance tax for the 2022-2023 fiscal year.
Okay. And who motioned to, I need a motion to adopt this ordinance, right?
I so move.
Okay,
I second.
alrighty. Sam?
No.
Natasha?
No.
Debbie? No. Edgar?
No.
Sylvia?
Yes.
Marge, yes. Rosa?
Yes. Okay, yes, but remember guys, we don't have to go into comments about each other's votes. Let's be professional.
Oh, that was a good one. Good catch.
Let's be professional. All right, so, is there a motion to adopt, resolution, wait, this is regarding, resolution for staff travel expenditures. So is there a motion to adopt the staff
Is that
travel?
from last time? Did we, what, was that from last week? Last time, did we vote on something with
Well,
that?
last year we approved to pay
No,
the,
last month.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Last month?
Last month we voted to approve the specific expenditures. This is just something that they do every July. It's a resolution they put forward every year saying that we will be reimbursing the staff for these various expenditures. The vote last week was these specific expenditures to approve them, whether it's, specific travel, specific reimbursement. This is more just on the process, saying that we will be, for the next year, we will be paying back the
Why isn't that
expenses.
just included with that? I don't understand why it's two different ones. If you could explain it to me just shortly.
Our lawyer said it wasn't something we necessarily had to do every year, that once it was done once, it probably didn't need to be done again. The board at the time voted to just keep doing it every year with a new resolution, just so that it was on the books.
I mean, we already proved we're gonna reimburse them, why do we have to make a resolution about it?
The resolution is that we are willing to do it, and the monthly is.
So nothing is changing here, we just have to vote for the same thing, promising that we're gonna give them expenses, and every year we have to vote to the same thing, right? That's what you're saying?
Oh, we just did that last
Yeah,
month, that's
But,
what I'm confused.
but we're saying, the resolution is saying that we will do it, and then just like we pay the salaries every month, we pay the travel expenses every month.
Okay. But I mean, why, isn't it just good enough that we voted last time, just to make the ordinance that we're gonna reimburse them? I don't understand why we're doing it again.
Because the monthly is the actual expenditure of the money.
Last month was just approving somebody to get reimbursed.
One person?
Yeah, I don't know if it was maybe more.
No, we're not gonna do one person a month, right?
No, it's just, I mean, depends however many times they drive out and do stuff, that's what we're, so last month we reimbursed Sonia and somebody for driving to wherever. And so this right now is, are we in this upcoming year gonna keep reimbursing, you know, Sonia and Sylvia, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, not Sonia and Sylvia.
Well, like,
Everybody.
yes. You know,
Only Sonia, nobody else.
It's just like the next year we're gonna keep doing this. Nobody specifically, nothing has changed over here, right? It's just.
correct, yeah, last month was someone specific, or people specifically, and this month
It makes
is,
no sense, honestly, to me, but if that's how you guys make, that it has to be voted every year on it,
well, it's just like in case we ever decide, hey, we are no longer
paying for
paying
travel
anyone to
expenses.
travel, then now would be the time to say,
Okay.
hey, no one can, you know, if you leave the bank, if you leave the library, that's on your own thing. Slade, did you have something to say on that?
Oh.
Just so we can kill most of our trees.
Killing kill trees, I know.
Let's
I
chop
don't
them
know what
down.
it's so for.
Did you have something?
Just that I wanted to mention that we only do the checks quarterly for the travel reimbursement.
Oh, those are quarterly, okay. Okay, so is there a motion to adopt the?
I'll make a motion to adopt it.
Second.
Okay, Debbie, that was you?
Yes,
Okay, I wasn't quite sure where it was coming from.
that's me.
Okay, thank you, that just, alrighty, Sam,
Yes.
Natasha,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Edgar,
Yes.
Sylvia,
Yes.
Mark, yes, Rosa?
Yes. All right, so, let's see what else is here.
So twice a year, we have to approve the previous closed session minutes from the previous 6 months, and then twice a year, the board is supposed to vote on whether or not to open up any previous closed session minutes. So the first vote is to,
Well,
Oh.
actually,
Did we miss the draft order?
Yeah, there's one
Yes.
more before that.
you're
Oh.
skipping.
The budget and appropriation hearing. So on this note, for the budget and, okay, well, first let's start with review the draft.
yeah, so the draft budget and appropriation ordinance has been handed out to each of you. It's the large spreadsheet that says draft on it. That is what we will be voting on in September. The budget and appropriation hearing where the public can come and ask questions and speak out about it will be September 21st at 6 p.m. Our September board meeting will take place right afterwards. This is just the draft that will be presented to the public.
That one we don't have to vote on, right? This is
Nope.
just review the draft. Let's just review the
This is
draft.
just a draft for your review.
For your viewing, for your viewing pleasure.
Yeah. And then this is the one that, it's dated September 21. Is that the one that we said we're moving up a week early?
Yes.
Okay, so
So-
to meet the deadline that we have to have this published by, our September meeting is moved up 1 week.
Yeah.
So,
So it's gonna be September 21st, right?
yes, so just please make note of that. Can we double check, make sure that we update the website?
I've already done.
Perfect. Okay, so that's,
September 21st.
That.
Wednesday.
it was already sent to the newspaper, so they're gonna publish it and everything, for the public. All right, now, reviewing the minutes of the previous closed session per the Open Meetings Act. We would need a.
Joanne's gonna hand out print copies of those minutes just for you to look at. So this is not something you have to go into closed session to do. You did not do it at the January meeting. So you can just look at these minutes from the May 25th closed sessions, and then you'll just need some motion to approve them. Yes.
When you're done, return them back to Joanne, please.
This is nothing compared to last time. We were like,
Oh, yeah, for sure. I came prepared with my jacket. I was like,
I had to go in the car and get
Yeah, I bumped it up earlier before the meeting.
good call, thank you. Okay. Okay, so one is regarding the interviews.
Yeah, I think they were both. I think the two closed sessions were the
One is tuition.
one per candidate for the. Oh, one is the tuition also?
Yeah,
Oh,
one is for
okay.
tuition and then one is for the interviews.
Gotcha.
So we went into closed session to discuss how we're gonna handle tuition reimbursements, and then we also went into closed session to discuss the board vacancy. And that was to fill Elizabeth's seats, which Debbie took. And read it, is this something, so our vote is, do we wanna release this, right?
No. So this first, these are just like the regular minutes that you approve month after month, except these are the closed session minutes. So you're just voting to approve these as closed session minutes. That's the first vote.
Okay,
The second vote would be, are there any older closed session minutes that you want to open to the public or not?
okay, so this right now is just
do-
approving it, but we're not
are
opening it
these
to
Are
public.
these minutes regards with regards to
What happened?
what happened? So similar to Sylvia when she was not here last month, I don't know if Deborah votes on them or not. I don't recall.
no, I don't think I should if it was
Yeah.
pertains to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it was just because you weren't in the minutes, the
Yeah.
meetings themselves.
Yeah,
Are we sticklers for typos? Doesn't matter. Trustees discuss the amount that will be reimburses for courses. I think it should be reimbursed instead of reimbursements, but that's just that. This is in the regards to May 25th, 2022.
Okay, gotcha.
After the roll call, it just says there's a second sentence. Trustees discuss the amounts that will be reimburses for courses versus reimbursed for courses. That's the only issue I see with this.
So we're just changing it to past tense, is that?
Yeah, just changing it to past tense.
That works.
Okay.
that would be cool. Let's see if we got a timer or something like that.
Alright, cool. So is there a motion to approve the minutes for the following closed session meetings? What was that?
With the change in the title.
Oh, with an exception to the change of, changing reimburses to past tense to say reimbursed purposes. These are both the meeting minutes from May 25th, 2022.
I make a motion.
second.
Okay. Sam?
Yeah.
Natasha? Yes. Edgar?
Yes.
Was,
She can still
No,
vote.
I can't vote.
I guess she wasn't there. That
but
was-
was Edgar there?
I was in that June meeting.
You were
He
there?
missed,
You were there.
he missed last month, but these are from May.
This is from there, I was at May.
Yeah.
I was at May.
Okay, so you were there.
His name is here. His name is here.
All right, thank you.
His name is here.
Okay, Sylvia?
Here, Marvin, yes.
Rosa?
Okay, so that was the first vote. The second vote is there a motion to approve making the following closed session minutes open to the public? And this would be the May 25th, nope.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, twice a year, the board is supposed to review all closed session minutes that are in existence.
Oh,
And if any of them are no longer deemed worthy of being closed, you can vote to open them, you're not obligated to. So last January, you just voted to keep, you approved the minutes from the previous 6 months,
yeah.
and you just voted to keep everything that had already been closed. So if anyone reviewed the meeting minutes from past closed session minutes and wanted to motion to make any of them open, they could. If there are no motions to make any closed session minutes, they'll just stay
They'll stay closed until we vote again in
6 months. Yeah, it's January, July we do this.
Okay. So no motions?
Or maybe just motion to keep them closed.
Okay. Let's, so
When it says you're gonna let us know which one are they.
Well, if someone wanted to make them open, they would have to specify which one they wanted to make open.
Okay, so
But
we
if
just
no
have to
one's-
make a motion to keep them closed.
Exactly.
Okay, I make a motion to keep them closed.
Second.
I mean, why do you guys wanna keep them closed? There's not anything like that in there, right? The tuition reimbursement is a positive.
Well, over,
And everyone knows I'm already got the trustees back, so why would you wanna close them right now? I mean, just vote to let them go.
it's easier just to do a blanket no,
Oh, like every 6 months or?
Yeah.
Okay.
because there are times.
But is it gonna be harder at that point, because like from now forward, I'll be voting? Like, is it harder to pick out which one someone's gonna be at? Then you have to revote? How would I vote if I can't vote for May or June? Or no, May? If you're not gonna do it for like a whole year or 6 months, should I just exclude myself from that packet? Or it's better to just approve them now?
You can still review all the closed session minutes.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can review them. The voting, I think, was because you weren't at them, but every 6 months, the board is supposed to review all closed session minutes
Okay.
together. And at that point, you could still review them. As a board member, you could review them. And if you read it and go, there's really nothing in
I
here
know.
worth keeping closed, you can make a motion to open it, and then the board would just vote on whether or not they want to open it or not. It's based on the Open Meetings Act. The board is required to do it twice a year.
Right.
But traditionally here, the board has just voted to keep everything closed rather than open anything up. But that's not saying that has to be
I
done that
just
way.
wondered what
Yeah,
the
yeah,
difference
yeah,
was,
yeah.
like,
Good question.
hopefully.
Okay, Natasha moved to keep closed, and Sam seconded.
And don't forget, oh, sorry.
Okay, so, Sam,
Yes.
Natasha?
Yes.
And I think she could vote to keep things closed.
keep it
I
closed,
mean,
yeah.
in theory,
I mean, you can put it closed, I don't care.
in theory, she could have come in and reviewed the past closed session minutes, because
Right.
she would have had that right as a
Well,
board
she
member.
even, so to speak, looked at these.
Right,
So-
right,
Right,
Yeah.
I already know what it's all about.
right, right. But there's more than just those two. I mean, there's,
Yeah.
for the past,
No, I mean for like this one that I
Right,
looked at
yeah,
already,
yeah.
besides verbatim, I
And-
don't know, but
and-
I know the breakdown.
and the
of
past
what
ones,
it's
the past
about.
ones are similar. So when they
Okay.
were filling the director position, there was a closed session to discuss the candidates for the director position. When there was closed session, in theory, if there's like 8 different exceptions that you can go into closed session for. So if there was like some big bid project, or if there was a legal case against the library, and you wanted to discuss the legal case as a board, you can go into closed session for that too. To my knowledge, that's never come up here. Pretty much all of our closed session minutes are dealing with either,
Sensitive personnel
yeah,
or-
exactly, personnel type issues or disciplinary issues, or, interviewing people for board positions.
Okay, so, yes.
Yes.
Okay, Edgar?
Yes.
Sylvia?
Yes.
Marge, yes. Rose?
Yes.
Okay.
Remember, hold on, please,
You're
let's
not
give it back
passing
to
them?
Joanne.
Pass them down.
So then, similar to before also, I told Rosa that probably to adjourn the meeting, that could just be, unless there's objections, to not,
Before we adjourn, next month is a regular meeting, however, Leighton will not be here, he is taking vacation time. In his place, we have our, Daniela, we're asking Daniela to come in his place. So because he's gone, and Danielle hasn't done this before, If you have questions, please email Leighton before the meeting. And of course, whatever Danielle can't answer, she will table it and.
Yeah, or if any of those things you brought up, you would just prefer to wait until September, that's an option too, but.
What do you mean, I mean, just because of the question wise, when up to what date we can send you questions?
Do we have any papers to sign?
I think maybe there was the resolution, there was also the card for Kathy. Yeah, I'm leaving the 17th.
Okay, so August 7th.
So, yes, yes.
And then after 17th, we're gonna email Joanne maybe.
Yeah, if there's
Or you-
anything, or, so how would you like us to handle it? If they have questions on a check, if they have questions on.
Yeah, I mean, I will be preparing the board packet like I normally do, and then I'll just be flying out on the 17th. I will actually even be available, I could remote in on Friday if there's any specific questions also, and answer any questions via email from Germany. I'm not going to some Papua New Guinea,
A cruise with no Wi-Fi.
Right.
So when are we gonna get the packet then? Are we
it'll-
gonna get it from Danielle or?
No, it'll probably be emailed out from Joanne on the Friday before, like normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we'll have her email address, well, I know we have her email address anyway. So then just anything kind of go through her, right?
Yeah, that'll probably be the easiest.
Okay, cool. If there's anything you guys want to add to the agenda, let me or let know, but you can, like if it's after the 17th, just let me know and I can let Joanne know, right? And I do have a list for the August meeting, we're adding the graph for the hotspots and the computer use. Fix the meeting minutes June 2022. You might need more than a month, but shop around for carriers for a bundle. Discuss the safety manager.
This should not be the month to discuss the safety manager.
Okay.
I need to.
Without Blakely being here, no, not with
Leighton just
Danielle.
told us, Leighton just told us what happened, and we just heard his side, and you can put it in writing. This cannot go for 2 more months without us discussing it. I'll FOIA the police report, Leighton can document what Mark told him and what happened. If Mark wants to come, it's up to you guys if he wants to come. Our lives can't be on hold because Leighton goes on vacation. Just like we don't hold the meeting if Edgar can't be here, and if I'm sick next time, no one's gonna hold the meeting for me. You can't pick and choose what we're gonna vote on based on who's gonna be here. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. In a perfect world, I think it would.
And then the banker, I don't know if she's gonna need more time, but if she can make an appearance for August, if not September.
All the September,
Yeah.
I would just like to talk to her.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I would think in that case, we're going to wait until Leighton will be here to be in on the discussion.
I want you to be at that meeting too, yes.
Okay, so September, table after September, all right.
Because he's, of course, deeply involved.
Because it is the time of the vacations and everything, and maybe she's not available now, and, so later we can coordinate that.
Okay, cool. So, before I adjourn, anything else you guys want to add to next month's meeting? So we can write it down.
I'm sorry.
Before I adjourn the meeting, is there anything else you guys want me to write down or us to write down for next month's meeting?
No, just hope the lady has a great vacation and get the heck out of here, right? Enjoy your time off.
Yeah.
What is it, Germany?
Mm-hmm.
Drink lots of beers and steins, but I think they drink it warm.
Oh,
Right?
Yes, you're,
No.
I think all your.
I bring ice with you. I'd be having a little ice.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, they're
Not
not for me.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, and public comment, is there any members from public here? No public comments, no one's on the phone?
They all left. They got tired. They're both old, they gotta go home.
All right, then in that case, if there's no objections, this meeting will be adjourned. No objections, it is Wednesday, July 27th, 7:55 p.m.
Good job, Rosa.
Thanks, guys, good discussion. We'll see you guys next week. Yeah.
You
Oh,
have
yeah.
to- you have to sign those, so.
It's by me, not this stuff.
Approved, what am I approved of? Oh, this is the name. Night. Okay.
on having a party, is there?
I talked to her daughter yesterday, because I was like, if she doesn't feel up to it, we won't do one, whatever her preference is. Her daughter indicated that she thinks that that would actually cheer her up. So now we are trying to pull something together. Chrissy's gonna try to get try to get a date, and get that finalized. But we were worried at first that maybe that was something that she didn't feel comfortable coming out for, but now it does sound like she, according to her daughter, it sounds like something that might cheer her up. And her daughter says she misses everybody too, so.
Well, you have to let us know when it is.
I think it's good for her. She does it.
Yeah.
It's just good. I'm not sure, what's going on with her and everything, but I think it would be good for anybody to work there.
It's done.
Is someone's phone ringing?
Sam's phone.
Oh.
Okay, Elaine, any questions for me?
Yeah, but
Email me.
Bye, everybody.
I'll text you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good one. You'll be taking upstairs by yourself, you okay?
No, I'm fine, thanks. I wait, getting a ride with,
Oh, good, okay. All right, good night, everyone.
Good night, bye
Have a good night.
guys.
Thanks again, Deb.
Thank you. Oh, you're welcome.
All right, I will also email you just recap so we're on the same page and stuff, but
Oh, I got my phone number on the tree now, if you need me or Jeff.
I will. Thanks a lot.
All right.
I'll be a few moments here. so-
No, no rush, I'm not in a hurry. Oh, I think,
Oh, sure it is.